Hi, everybody. This should be a pretty short video. If you've been following along with my newsletter or my channel, you're probably aware that I've been doing a lot of submitting of stories to lots of markets. And when those stories are rejected, typically you get the canned stock, boilerplate type letter. This story wasn't a great fit for us. It's subjective and good luck submitting elsewhere. And that's fine. These markets tend to have very few people doing a lot of work, and they just don't have time to give personalized feedback to every story that's submitted to them. But I thought it was worthwhile to take some time and to give a shout out to a couple markets who went above and beyond and gave feedback, at least to me, that is honestly the kind of thing authors live for, because it can be disheartening to have a story rejected and not really know why. And so when an editor or publisher takes the time to tell you what they liked and what didn't work for them, it's just gold. The first market I want to talk about is called Mysterion, and it's a web easy that publishes stories with Christian themes or engaging with Christianity in some way, but also has speculative elements, whether sci-fi, fantasy, what have you. And so their requirements are that it somehow engages with some kind of Christian theme, but they're specific that they not necessarily require that the author be a Christian or that the piece be necessarily pro-Christian. It just needs to engage with those themes or those ideas in some way. And I thought this was pretty interesting. I don't usually write stories like that. But I thought it was an interesting challenge, and I try to write in lots of different genres just to expand my capabilities and see what kind of feedback I get. And so I was pleasantly surprised when I, eventually got feedback. The story was not accepted, but the reply I got was very detailed, and they had liked the story, but had too many other stories with similar settings and similar themes, and they couldn't have all of them in the same issue. And so my story was rejected, but it was clear that they had taken time with the story, and the reply had given me lots of feedback on the strengths and weaknesses of the story, the things they liked about it, the things they didn't, and what worked for them and what they were confused by and what have you. And so I just thought that was a really worthwhile exercise, even though I didn't get published, to go out of my comfort zone a little bit. But also, kudos to Mysterion for taking the time for an author they're not going to publish to give feedback. The next market I want to talk about is called Escape Pod. They're an online science fiction podcast. They publish both audio and text versions of short stories every month. And they're free for the listeners, and they pay authors, which is pretty nice. And I got really great feedback from them. The response I got from that submission, which was a rejection, was interesting. The first paragraph was the typical boilerplate that I discussed earlier, but then they went on to give me sort of a look behind the curtain, and their associate editors had passed the story up to their assistant editors, and their assistant editors had rejected the story at that point, but they let me know that only about 10 to 15% of the submissions they get make it that far. So even though the story was rejected, it kind of gives you a ray of hope and gives you some insight rather than just this wasn't right for us. You go, hey, maybe this story's close. Maybe I'm on the right track. That's good feedback for authors. In addition to that, they went on to tell me the things that they liked about the story and the reasons that the story was rejected from the market. So again, another example of editors going out of their way to give feedback to authors, and that's just super valuable. So that's it. Short video, just a short PSA for aspiring authors, a couple markets that potentially you could get some better feedback from, and I think that's always valuable and desired when you're getting crushed by rejections. I'll leave links to both these markets in the description, as long as link for my website where you can sign up for the newsletter. I will, of course, continue submitting these stories and others, but now I have a little bit more information about at least what a few editors thought of the stories and maybe ways I can improve them before I resubmit. Thanks for watching and enjoy the stories.